Good morning. My name is Reverend Krista Taves. It's my honor and privilege to be the Minister of Congregational Life here at Eliot, and I welcome you to this very special Sunday. We are an intentional community whose shared work is to welcome all races, all genders, and all sexual orientations. We strive to welcome people of all creeds and beliefs, all economic circumstances, and all types of families. Our vision is to create a just world through vibrant, beloved community. In regards to our COVID protocol, we are still very mindful of those who are most vulnerable among us, and it is our priority to protect all of us. So we ask that everyone over the age of 2 be masked and properly over the nose, under the chin, and that everyone over the age of 5 be fully vaccinated. If you are new to Eliot, you have come here on a very special Sunday. This is the last Sunday that our lead minister, Reverend Barbara Gaydon, will be leading worship with us. She is retiring. So if it gets a little weepy and emotional today, that is why. There will be a celebration of her ministry after the service today. Please pick up your lunch bag as you leave through Adams Hall and join us outside for the party. It is also our beloved flower communion, which we celebrate every spring. Everyone is welcome to participate, even if you did not bring a flower. Our communion table is always open, regardless of membership. And of course, you can also choose to observe. If you have flowers that you have not yet placed in the vase, you are welcome to do so during our opening hymn. If you would like to connect with us and learn more about our congregation, those of you who are our guests, our greeters are so happy to connect with you after the service, and there's an information table in Adams Hall. And if you're visiting online, please let us know you're here. Write us at welcome@eliotchapel.org so that we can properly welcome you. Thank you.
Today we are celebrating the Flower Communion that was created by Norbert Chapek, a Unitarian minister in Czechoslovakia. He was also a composer and he wrote many hymns. Our opening words today are from the last hymn that he wrote when he was in prison, having been arrested in 1942 during the Nazi occupation. He writes, "When a holy enthusiasm seizes the heart, your face lights up. You feel like a star singing. Your very soul, hearing your song, is radiant. It was, and it will be again. With the sun on our brows, enthusiasm will bloom once more. With paradise in our hearts, clouds will disappear. And the sun's rays bring the earth back to life, and the sun of your hope will shine again along the dangerous narrows of your life, bringing warmth and light and the air of freedom, peace, and happiness. It was, and it will be again. You would embrace the whole world. Have peace touch every flower. You would like to give yourself away completely to everybody. Forgive everything, play host to everyone. You would lift this earth to heaven. It was, and it will be again." We'll now light our chalice, which is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Thank you. We light this chalice for the web of life which sustains us, for the sacred circle of life in which we have our being, for the earth, the sky above and below, for our Mother Earth, and for the mystery. We'll sing together hymn number 207, "Earth Was Given as a Garden." And please rise as you are willing and able.
Good morning. Please join me in reading our unison Eliot Chapel Congregational Covenant. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create love-loving community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be. To listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart, to speak responsibly and effectively, to find ways to improve our church for all members and friends. Thank you.
I'd like to invite our flower hosts to come up with the flowers, to arrange them up here, or they should be here shortly. We try to time these things. So flowers. Have you given flowers to somebody else? Pretty much most of us. And do you like it when people give you flowers? It's always a good idea. They always fit as a gift. You wonder why we do that, flowers in particular. Why not a butterfly or a snake? Well, maybe not a snake. But people are always happy when they receive flowers. And people have been doing this for a long, long time. More than 100 years ago, the FTD company came into being. And, oh, here come our flower hosts. They can come and put up our flowers. Yeah, that's okay. They like to make a grand entrance. That's good. Anyway, so about 100 years ago, this company decided that they could get together with other companies all over the country and have people give flowers to one another. And their slogan was, "Say it with flowers." And that slogan has been around for more than 100 years. And you have to ask, well, what exactly are you saying with the flowers? Well, I think the language of flowers is always, I love you. Somebody is in the hospital and they're hurting and they're being poked and prodded and they can't sleep because there's that machine that goes ping for no apparent reason all night long. Those people need some flowers. And there are people who have lost somebody. Maybe they've lost a family member and they're really hurting and their person has died and you want to say you're so sorry and you love them. Or maybe we live 100 miles apart and I want to remember your birthday and I want to touch you and hug you, but I can't. So here are some flowers for you to touch and hold. Or maybe I give you flowers because it was your birthday and I forgot. Please forgive me. I love you. So why wouldn't you just say those words? Why would flowers be better at that? The Unitarian Church in Prague was seeing that words were wonderful, but they were limited in what they could actually say to one another to bring each other together. In fact, some of those words were getting in the way. Words like God. Some people longed to hear those words, and some people simply could not. And so their minister, well, actually, they were doing pretty well with this, despite that, because they were having a good time in their church. People would go by their church, and they would hear people laughing so loud that they said, "Is that a church? Could that really be a church?" They do that. But they still had these things about language. And so their minister, Norbert Chapek, wanted to create a ritual that would bind the church together, that would make people, whatever they believed that might be different, feel at one with one another. And so he went out into the fields of wildflowers and he gathered armfuls and armfuls of flowers and he brought them in to the church. And he put them out on the table. And as he was telling somebody else about this years later, he wrote, everyone was supposed to bring with him a flower. In the middle of the big hall was a suitable table where a big vase with a big vase where everybody put his flower, and some lady members helped do it nicely. So there's the lady members. They did a good job. We're working on our gender thing here, but let's acknowledge the lady members. They're good. Then he invited people to take a flower from the vase that was different from the one they brought with them, and it was for them to cherish that flower for those minutes that it was in their hands, as they might do with the spirit of the person that brought them. And that is what we will do later on today. So one more thing that flowers can say. They say that we are unique, we are different, and we belong. We belong together.
I invite you to join with me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, who draws us together in a web of holy relationships, make your presence known with us and in us and among us. We gather this morning with a tremendous sense of gratitude, for we are in the season of new life, with the world around us exploding into green and the dancing colors of the flowers promising a season of shimmering beauty. Yet we also come with our own sorrows, our own griefs, with our own anger and our own struggles. We pray this morning especially for the community in Buffalo, which had such a terrible, terrible loss this week. Here in this time, in this congregation, we are in a time of anxiety, hope, anticipation, grief, loss, but also gratitude. Let us raise our hearts this morning in gratitude for the time that we have had with Reverend Gaydon. Let us anchor in the blessings of this shared ministry, for the ways that we have been shaped by her ministry and the ways her ministry has been shaped by us. Something unique and precious was created in this relationship. May we nourish these blessings even as we prepare our hearts and spirits to welcome a new minister into our midst, who will also usher their unique blessings on us. We also raise our hearts in gratitude for Robert Gaydon, her husband, who graced this community with his joyful presence, his open heart, and his deep love of our living tradition. He also brought something precious to this congregation, and we are so thankful for that. We pray rich blessings on Barbara and Robert as they prepare to leave this beloved community. We will miss you. We hope the best for you. We wish for you a precious retirement with much joy, peace, and renewal. Let us remember that like the flowers in these vases before us, each of us is unique, precious, worthy of joy and renewal, worthy of sorrow and tears and anger, worthy of that unending love that holds us even when we cannot see it or feel it. Let us enter into a time of silence for the deepest prayers of our hearts. Let us speak the names of those we hold in prayer. We are not alone. We are held in this crucible of love, acceptance, compassion, and a fierce commitment to justice, so that the love which holds us all can flow freely and fiercely through all of life, bringing healing, restitution, repair, renewal, and hope. We offer these prayers in the spirit of that love beyond our imagining. Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated for our meditative hymn, number 8, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. Every week, we give away a portion, half of our offering, to a not-for-profit that shares our values and works for the justice that we yearn for. This month, our offering is dedicated to Metropolitan Congregations United, an interfaith, equity-based, justice-making organization centered in the St. Louis region. We have been a member of MCU for many years, with the relationship intensifying after the killing of Michael Brown and the social unrest that followed, which we were part of, and still deeply influences our social justice work and our operative theology. MCU focuses strongly on racial and equity issues like the school-to-prison pipeline, educational disparities, the quality of life for the most vulnerable communities in our region, legislative advocacy, and so much more. Our support of Metropolitan Congregations United has helped them to make a real difference in so many lives and communities. If you're watching online, you can give at eliotchapel.org/giving. Let us be a generous people. please come forward. Would the ushers please come forward? Thank you. We need those gifts. Please join me in blessing this offering with the words printed in your order of service. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these, our offerings. Thank you.
You can take a message from me, if you would. How grand it is to see all of you. This has been a year of one more. So one more opening Sunday, one more bread communion, one more Christmas Eve, one more pledge campaign, one more Easter Sunday, and one more flower communion. Communion starts with laying a table where all are worthy and all are welcome, a table where those present see holiness in each other, a table where we seek the presence of the divine, however we understand that to be, where we come to belong and know that we are worthy of love, unconditional love, where we experience such love in the sharing of ordinary things, bread, wine, and flowers. Communion is not about belief. Jesus said, "Do this in remembrance of me." He broke bread and he poured wine for his disciples. He did not say, "Believe this or that," teaching. The creeds and the doctrines would come later. It was never about believing something. Nor did he say, if you're good enough, you can come to the table. He washed Judas's feet, after all, and said, come to the table, knowing the whole time that he would betray him. It was never about moral judgment. But unfortunately, it gets used that way. Just this week, San Francisco Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone notified House Speaker Nancy Pelosi by letter that she was banned from receiving Holy Communion due to her support of a woman's right to choose. It is a powerful thing, and it feels like power to give it and to withhold it, but we know, we say, we experience by our life, our faith, that it is impossible to withhold this from someone. In response to this unholy action, Christian blogger John Pavlovitz wrote, your job is to set the table, not to police it. He said, someone else's moral worthiness before God is above your pay grade. It's outside your jurisdiction and none of your business. Jesus' invitation, he said, is never about someone else's worthiness or their beliefs, but about their belovedness. And yet, with all of these things that happen, all of the times that people have been told no about taking communion, it is no wonder that many Unitarian Universalists struggle with it. 6 years ago, when a group of us went to our partner church to visit them in Transylvania, we were invited to participate in their communion. Unitarians in Transylvania are Christian, as most American Unitarians were before the 20th century. And so this difference between us, we thought would be kind of a gap, the difference in our beliefs. And we don't practice communion as they do there, but we knew it would have been rude to have refused to accept it. And it also would have been rude for me to refuse the invitation to help serve the meal, which I have never done. But I had a great tutor. It was the Reverend Zuzana Kish, a Unitarian minister and the wife of our partner church minister, Reverend Shandor. And she was on maternity leave when we were visiting. So she taught me, she put baby Gergo down for his nap and took me into their kitchen for my lesson. She explained that the church elders served the bread, which we had actually seen being baked in outdoor ovens. And Reverend Shandor and I would serve the wine. And then she showed me how to do this. And she got out a napkin and a juice glass to show me. And she said, you put the napkin on your left hand like this, and you rest the communion goblet like that. Hold the glass with your other hand and go up to each person and tip the glass a little bit towards them. And then you wipe the rim, and then you turn the glass and go to the next person. Simple, right? Actually, she said, that part was not as hard as it sounds. But the next part was, she said, make sure that you look into each person's eyes while you're doing this. That's the most important thing, look into their eyes. Well, of all the things, I was probably the most nervous about that. We were all shy about that part. Even people that we're close to, we can be shy about saying these things and serving one another and getting that close. And then making eye contact at the same time. So I was shy. All of the Americans on the trip were shy. The Transylvanians were not shy. Each of them looked right at me, complete stranger, trying not to spill grape juice on them. And they looked me right in the eye. It was unnerving, you guys, really. And they looked at me serving them from a chalice, which unbeknownst to me, dated from the 14th century. I'm so glad I didn't know that going in. And that was, they owned this. This church had been in existence. They owned this before it was Unitarian, before anybody was Unitarian. There was this precious cup that they trusted me with. And it takes practice, this kind of trust and this intimacy that they were about several hundred years ahead of us, at least in that particular form of it. Unitarian Universalists claim inherent worth and dignity for ourselves, as we should. But we can forget that this is also a handshake deal, that we give this worth and dignity to one another in every encounter, including communion. We forget that we need each other for that. And that's what the Unitarians in Prague needed in the 1920s, why they created flower communion. These ideas, these big ideas that we are unique and we are also somehow interconnected, and we have to balance those together at the same time. They're wonderful, but the words alone get slippery. We need physical evidence. We need proof. We need something we can see and smell and touch. We need something to do with it. And so for whatever reasons we have for coming to a table like this, if we also come to give one another love, it will be all right. We will be all right. We can't do it wrong. We will join the saints, the angels, the churches in Prague, the churches in Transylvania, all the communities who have been kept apart by forces of war, of occupation and cruelty, congregations kept apart, as we know, by plague, who have continually needed the ways to knit ourselves back together when we come unraveled. And we come to practice that knitting together, that coming closer to each other. The symbols today are straightforward and simple. Each flower is a person. The vases and the baskets and the plates and the table represent the container, the community. And together, this is the beauty that we offer to the world, the healing we offer to each other. You might have brought a dozen flowers with you this morning, or you might have brought one, or you might have brought none, if you're unfamiliar with the ritual, or you just plain forgot. This table is large enough for all of that, gracious and grace-filled enough for all of that. And we say welcome. This table is above all the courage in coming together with people as imperfect as each of us is and building something beautiful together, as we have and as you will. We will share now in the ritual. We will do this together now somehow. So our flower ladies will come up. Carolyn and Rebecca, please, and just tell each row when they're supposed to come forward. And what we'd like you to do is take a flower and then return back to your seat with it.
And I'd like to start in the balcony, so come on down.
What? Ken? Oh, Ken. No, he's back there. So it is good and proper that you are all holding this community in your hands. Cherish it and love it. I invite still current president, Steve Harvey, come up for this last portion. We're checking our math.
In 2014, Eliot Unitarian Chapel held a service of installation as we called Reverend Barbara as our lead minister. William Lennon was the board chair who led the congregation in the words of installation. They were promises between us, commitments we made to each other. Now, as Reverend Barbara retires, it is my task as your current board chair to lead us in releasing her from that call. These words are taken from words that were spoken then. 9 years ago, we called you to be our lead minister, asking you to live among us, to make our concerns your concerns, and to the best of your ability to lead us in the paths of understanding, righteousness, and peace. You have. You have spoken the truth to us in love and modeled wisdom and kindness to our children and youth. You have ministered to us in joy and sorrow. You have demonstrated a life of courage and compassion. You have led our institution and fired our imagination, calling forth our collective voice and vision. You have led us in service to the wider community and to the world, in partnership with Unitarian Universalists and people of all faith.
9 years ago, you offered me the cooperation of your hearts and minds and your resolute goodwill. You supported me in balancing the work of ministry and time for reflection and rest. You covenanted to join with me in the work of spiritual growth and ethical commitment in the understanding that ministry is shared by all. You have shared this ministry, lifted my heart, and moved me with your generous spirit. It has been an honor to serve you.
Will the members of Eliot Unitarian Chapel please rise in body or in spirit? Okay, and I'll lead the congregation reading. We offer our gratitude for your ministry and blessings for the future. On June 30th, 2022, we release you from the call to serve Eliot Unitarian Chapel as our lead minister.
I think you can be seated.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything you've given me. I offer all my hope and prayers for your future. Honoring the ethical boundaries established by my colleagues, I commit to having no contact with the congregation after my departure until I've established a covenant with your new minister, your new lead minister. I do this in love to create a healthy space for your new ministers to flourish. To symbolize this release of call, I am returning to you the preaching stole that was made for me here. It was taken from fabric, taken from that rainbow quilt over there. And I have worn it in my role as the minister of this very specific, beloved community. And I offer it to your new minister. May they find the joy and the love and all of the wonderful things that I have enjoyed so much here. And I have a gift for you. I don't know how well you can see it
Yeah.
from there, but this is a collage that I made a few years ago called Each Night a Child is Born as a Holy Night. And it's this is the original for the print that you saw. And I give this to you with my heart.
Body or spirit for our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home, number 1064 in the Teal hymnal.
Thank
After our service, we invite you to a celebration of Reverend Gaydon's ministry. Please take a lunch in Adams Hall, and we will gather outside for a party. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Wherever we take these with us in our hearts, we will carry them until we are together again. Please be seated for the closing, for the postlude. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for blessing this beloved community with your presence. Go in peace.